Hello, and welcome to the Cinema Scrutiny podcast, the podcast where we take you through all the TV, film, and streaming news this past week that we found worth talking about. I'm your host, John, and I'm joined by your other amazing host, Billy. Billy, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. It's been a week. I've been doing a lot of yard work, and I can't feel my legs.
I saw that. It looks really riveting out there.
Yeah, I mean, like the yard's gonna be better off for it, but I think it was 15 hours on Saturday because we thought it was gonna rain on Sunday, and then we woke up and it wasn't raining, so we went out and did more work.
That hurts.
Yeah,
That
but
hurts.
it's okay. It's over now, and I'm sure the property value went up like $10. So
There you go.
yeah, that's what it's about. How you been doing, Billy?
Pretty good. Just been working, applying at jobs.
Mm.
My short film just got moved to semifinalist at New York International, so that's
Oh,
fun.
yeah, that's great.
I'll find out if I'm a finalist on Wednesday.
Mm.
So waiting on that. Um,
Yeah,
I
we
don't
should
know.
get back
Just
to that. We'll follow up on it next week.
yes, we will. Just going with the flow.
Mm. Yeah, I feel that. All right, well, continuing our lazy move into August, let's get into some of the news, I guess.
Yeah.
So, the first thing that I want to talk about is this actually happened on the last Monday that we recorded, like 2 hours after we finished recording.
Mhm.
And that is that Netflix is ordering a prequel series to The Witcher called Blood Origin. And so, what it is The Witcher, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's about a very specific person who is a Witcher, Geralt of Rivia. But Witchers in general are kind of like monster hunters in their universe, and they're mutated humans that I don't think they're genetically mutated. I think they undergo like magical transformations and like potions and stuff.
Right.
And they're like monster hunters just to like keep the monsters at bay. And this prequel series, which I think is just like a standalone one season thing until it's good, and then they make a second season.
Right.
It is going to go over the origins of The Witcher. So looking down in the getting the thing here, Netflix has ordered 6 episode prequel limited series for The Witcher. But again, if it's good, they're not gonna limit it. I'm feeling it. It's going to be set 1,200 years before the events of the original series, The Witcher.
Yep.
And then the log line here, set in an elven world 1,200 years before the world of The Witcher, Blood Origin will tell a story lost to time, the origin of the very first Witcher, and the events that lead to the pivotal conjunction of the spheres when the world of monsters, men, and elves merged and became one. So if you haven't played the games or haven't, I don't think they talk about it in the show, but basically it's like the humans lived in their own universe, monsters lived in their own universe, and elves lived in their own universe. And then in the past, I guess 1,200 years ago specifically, all of those worlds merged under a specific set of circumstances, and all of like their universes collided, and they've
Right.
just been living in that ever since. And that's kind of what the whole like that's what gives the show its like magical, sections.
Right, right. Like the
But
fantasy elements and whatnot.
yeah, but just like hearing about this, Bill, what are your opinions? Like, did you watch all of The Witcher? Did you enjoy
I
it?
did. I finished The Witcher on Netflix. I liked it a lot because uh, I am a Henry Cavill fan,
Oh, he
so
kills it. Yeah.
it definitely adds to it. Um, but I never played the games, and I know you're a huge advocate for the games,
Mm-hmm.
specifically The Witcher 3.
Yeah. Oh, Witcher
Um,
3 is great.
yeah, so I've always like heard about The Witcher and kind of been at least slightly in the know on what's going on with it, but I really enjoyed the first season of the show. Um, And I know that they talked a little bit about the second season. Um, my one problem with the first season,
Mm-hmm.
which it's in the IGN article because it was part of their review, but like they didn't really like the stagnant or like the chopped up kind of timeline that they followed, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot. So because of like the universe, and they don't really explain it well,
Yeah,
but like a lot of people live a lot longer. Like Witchers live longer than normal people. Wizards and witches live longer than normal people. So between all of the episodes of the original like season, the first season, it's like 300 years, and it's told in like a backward forward kind of like jerking motion.
right.
And I feel
It's all
like
over the place a little bit.
yeah, and it's just really complicated because no like everyone looks the same, so it's very hard to tell that like 100 or 200 years have passed.
Yeah. So I mean, that was like my one gripe with the show. I mean, like it was still entertaining, and I still had a great time watching it.
Yeah.
But I think this is cool. I like that it is a prequel, but I like that it's so far it's just a limited series. It's like a small, quick thing. I think, and I because I think limited series have like great potential because it's like the shorter it is, the more compact the story is. I just think there's a lot of potential for it.
Yeah. This is just more like an extended movie.
Yeah, I'm interested to see who they cast as whatever this original Witcher is going to be. Like, who's
Yeah,
going to be
I
the
don't
lead?
know. I'm trying to remember. I mean, like, I didn't read every single lore document in The Witcher 3, and I'm not, like, super deep on it, but I don't know if they've actually ever really gone into the first Witcher and, like, the stories that are, like, a part of that and the reason for the conjunction of the spheres. So I'm really interested to see what happens. And I haven't even thought of that. Like, what major characters would need to be cast and who are they casting? Because,
Right.
like, Henry Cavill as a Witcher, amazing. But it's
Yeah,
like,
he's
who
great.
else could you get to fill, like, those awesome shoes?
Eddie Redmayne.
No, stop.
No, I'm kidding.
uh,
I would
no,
not.
he would get broken like a twig. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
he could
would.
bulk up, I guess.
Nah, Tom
Um,
Hardy. Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy would be cool. Yeah,
I don't know.
but
I think it'd have to be someone like hard and like someone in conjunction with Henry Cavill and the way he does it.
yeah,
Just like kind of get someone looped in. Unless you go for some like quirky, witty kind of dude. But I
yeah,
mean, I have no idea what kind of direction they're going in for it. So
yeah. I don't know. Maybe Army Hammer, was he the dude opposite Henry Cavill in Man from Uncle?
yes, he was.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd be interested to see that. That'd be cool.
yeah, that'd be cool. But yeah, it's also exciting just to see them branching out The Witcher. They're also doing an animated series, I believe, so that
Yep.
should be fun. And I
Yeah.
think just
Netflix
to like
all over the place
capitalize
with
on
their
it.
stuff.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, I think we should be moving on. Keep it moving a little bit.
Sure.
This is just an update to one of our previous conversations. Tenet is going to be released internationally first before premiering in the U.S. It has officially been confirmed.
Right.
I'm getting it here from IGN. It was confirmed by Variety.
Yes.
So, to get the quote, Tenet will be released in 70 international territories, including Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Korea, Russia, and the United Kingdom on August 26th. And then it's going to come to North America in September 3rd.
It's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. I mean,
It's
that's only like a week, so that's not terrible.
yeah. I mean, we've seen other movies get released a little early in the UK or internationally, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I have seen on Twitter and online there have been a few leaks and spoilers going around.
All
I have
right.
not been spoiled, but they are out there. So I just want to say to all of our listeners, beware. If you see anything Tenant on anything, if it's not like a dedicated news source, then don't read the comments. Don't read anything.
Yeah.
So there's potential to get spoiled if you're interested in seeing this.
That is my
So
big concern for this. I mean, granted, this time frame is only like a week, but do I think it'll even come out in North America September 3rd? No.
probably not. Yeah,
Um,
probably maybe limited. Maybe.
yeah. So the question is like, how much? First of all, how many people instantly watch it online once it gets, like uploaded, right?
Right.
And I think you're gonna lose people there. If it continues, it's gonna get worse. But also, like when you're starting to push back these movies more and more that are finished, like I'm always thinking that someone's gonna spoil it. Like especially like Black Widow is being like it's coming out in November now. I feel like somebody's gonna say something.
It's a very high potential for it to be spoiled.
Yeah.
Like I said, from what I understand, the ending is out there. You could find it somewhere. Like
Mm.
you could figure out what the ending of the movie is. I mean,
I don't
I
even
guess
understand the premise of the movie.
I was gonna say not that that means much. I mean, we don't really understand what the movie's about totally, but still, like, I would assume the ending would wrap up the entire thing and kind of explain things. I feel like that's what Nolan does a lot of times. Like the ending
Mm.
really kind of just it wraps up the story, but it also kind of explains like what the hell's going on in this movie.
Mm.
Happens all the time with like Memento, Inception, Interstellar.
Yeah, that's true.
The ending's always got this crazy psychological like bookmark and to kind of describe or
Yeah,
explain what
kind of
the hell's
completes the
going on.
circle.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking about movie theaters, we got and speaking about delays, even we have some updates to a story that we didn't talk about, but it is an update to a story, and that
It's kind of
is
a crazy story.
yeah, that is Universal and AMC have come to an agreement to shorten the theatrical window to 17 days. So, to give some background, originally when everything started shutting down, Universal was moving their films to like online. Like Trolls was it was Trolls 2. I forget the actual name of the movie. But Trolls went online and they sold it $20 on demand for one viewing for like a household, right? And
Yeah,
AMC freaked out because Universal, like, it did so well that Universal said they were probably going to do it a lot going forward. And
right.
Universal, like, they have Fast 9, which was going to come out but then got delayed. And then Jurassic World is also coming out in theaters. And AMC just like saw their money just like disappearing. Like, if they're going to cut them out of the equation, they kind of got to rush it.
Yeah, those are big franchises.
Yeah.
So
So Universal's new thing, the agreement that they reached, is that the new deal shortens the time that they have to be in theaters before they can bring it to the homes to
right.
17 days. Originally, it was closer to about 3 or 4 weeks. Or
Hmm.
actually, no, that's not true. This is 3 or 4 weeks. It was not. It was 3 or 4 months originally.
It was like the average run for like a you know movie that sits in a theater. You get like 2 to 3 months in there,
Yeah.
maybe four, depending on how big the franchise is, how big the movie is.
Yeah.
But
So that's huge.
it is huge. I when this first like happened a few months back, I
Yeah.
was I was kind of shocked at how fast AMC was ready to pull the trigger and say we're not showing any Universal films
That's actually
at
true.
all.
I don't know if I actually said that before. They banned Universal films from their theaters.
Yeah, Universal came out and said like we're gonna start doing on demand stuff more often, and AMC was like, "You're done. We're not showing anything anymore," which is
Yeah.
insane. That's like crazy to just be like, "We're cutting you." Like, Fast and Furious is massive. We're talking like
Billion
the amount
dollar
of
film.
yeah, billion-dollar franchise. Like, that's ridiculous. But I mean, to see them come to this agreement is I'm happy with it because we've talked about this the past couple of weeks with like the struggle with theaters, but
Mm-hmm.
realistically, like, was it smart for AMC to pull the trigger and say you're banned? Yes,
Mm-hmm.
because it kind of it kind of pushes them into a corner.
Yeah, it's a really existential thing. Like, if nobody is mandatory to put things in theaters, you start to just lose your business.
Exactly. But I at the same time, I think AMC does need Universal to an extent. You know what I mean? Like, you want that Fast and Furious revenue. You
Oh yeah.
want that Jurassic World revenue to come in. So I'm happy to see them come to something. Um, the 17-day window is kind of crazy, kind of short, but I do think that Universal will extend past the 17 days when it comes to Fast and Furious and Jurassic World and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Part of
their
the
smaller franchises will probably be shorter, and they can do a shorter release with those. But I'm sure they're going to go for a full run when it comes to like the bigger stuff.
yeah, part
So
of the contract is that they are allowed to extend past the 17. 17 is just like the minimum, or
right,
the agreement rather, not necessarily a contract. But it really is interesting because I mean, if things keep up and movie theaters don't come back like super quick by the time these movies come around,
yeah,
it'll easily be the 17 days. I mean,
yeah,
they're
definitely.
never even. But also, they
To be
all want
honest, the
to.
agreement probably comes in line with uh, Corona and whatnot.
Hmm.
They probably are already planning on. All right, well, when theaters do come back, we're probably going to want to have a short run anyway, just to because we don't know how many people are going to want to come in,
Yeah,
et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah, very
interesting
interesting.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna be surprised to see what it like deals with long term and if this starts to apply to other like big names. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if Disney will start running 17 days and then put it on Disney Plus to try to like drum up subscriptions, or
that'd be kind of crazy.
yeah,
That's with Disney. That's like a crazy power move.
yeah. I mean, they do a lot of really crazy stuff with theaters anyway. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. Could it be the beginning of the end for movie theaters? We'll find out in a couple years.
let's hope not.
Yeah. So moving on, we're gonna move to some streaming news for a minute. To start, this is just kind of a little crazy story. Netflix wins a seven-figure auction for a horror story called "My Wife and I Bought a Ranch." But the interesting thing about the story is that it was posted in four parts in full to Reddit on r/no sleep, which is like a horror tale subreddit.
Right.
And I just thought that was crazy. So this dude Matt Query just wrote this and
Yeah.
just put it up on Reddit. He's like, "Bam, everyone can see this." And then all of a sudden, streaming services turned into a bidding war, and this man made $1 million at least.
It's pretty crazy, right?
It's insane.
Well, so from what I understand, this guy has worked with Netflix before on something.
Yeah. So reading the Deadline article that I have here, his brother Harrison, through this deal, is going to write the screenplay to adapt it to film for
Right.
Netflix. But his brother Harrison also last year sold a modern version of the Three Musketeers to Netflix.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, to an extent, it has something to do with the connection with his brother. I'm sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure Netflix, made that connection and said, let's give this guy a chance." But also, it's still it's a great underdog story, I guess, to say like, you know, your script got picked up off Reddit by
Yeah.
Netflix. That's crazy, and that's awesome to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not to mention the seven-figure deal. Netflix, relax, Netflix. Stop, like,
Yeah. Netflix is throwing money. I mean, they've been throwing money for years, right? They're always trying to put out new content.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's cool, but it's just crazy to see. Like they really just like they're so willing to just go for it. I
Yeah.
love it.
I think it's especially weird just to see something that like is written again in full for free. Like you can go right now, read the entire thing, get it.
Yep.
So like for them to like first of all pay $1 million for it is insane. And
Yeah.
then to take the time to adapt it, they're probably gonna put, a couple million into it anyway.
I'm curious what the negotiations were like, or if Netflix just straight up just. I can't imagine they just hit him up and said, "Here's $1 million for your script."
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sure there has
very
to be some kind
interesting.
of negotiation involved, but
Yeah, the context of the article suggests a bidding war, so I assume other parties were involved for the like the eventual capture of it.
right.
But like even with his brother having written something and sold it to Netflix last year, like the modern day Three Musketeers thing that they're talking about, we haven't heard a single thing about it since they bought it, right? Like I'm sure it's in development, but we
Yep.
haven't even seen it. So like they don't even have proof that there is return on investment from these brothers, you know?
Yeah, and they're just kind of shooting into the dark.
Yeah, it's
But
crazy.
I mean, sometimes that's what studios do. You'd be surprised how many scripts get picked up and they just sit on the shelf. They don't
Yeah.
even go anywhere. But it's really just to have the property to say, we have this, we could do something with it later if we want to, or we're just going to develop it right away and shoot it out there and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's like
it's a crazy industry. So
yeah, wild world. All right.
yep,
Moving to our next streaming topic, we have NBC Universal's Peacock streaming service has reached 10 million signups. So 10 million, not subscribers, but just like accounts, right?
right.
So this is coming from I think AT&T, like the head up, all the way up. Or actually no, sorry,
It's M-
AT&T. Yeah,
no.
no. NBC Universal owns Peacock. Sorry, I'm reading the article and I'm just getting all effed up. Uh, yeah. So NBC Universal successfully launched Peacock and Comcast's cable footprint in April, ahead of the streaming service's U.S. nationwide launch earlier this month, with 10 million signups to date. So it's a Comcast company. I was reading that thing that was up top that says HBO, which is AT&T, has 4
Right.
million subscribers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the one thing that I actually got off of reading this article was that Peacock to sign up is free. Like you can watch a
Yeah,
decent amount of content with ads, but like just for free online.
that's right.
And that's already crazy.
I didn't. So I don't even know too much about Peacock, but
Mm-hmm.
I've known about it. It's been around. I've even seen job applications for it. Um, and to me, it always felt like this, up and coming streaming service, one that no one really talks about. And
Mm.
even if you go to the Peacock site, like it's to be completely honest with you, there's not that much there. I mean, it's the main NBC shows. Saturday Night Live is on there. A lot of the Star Trek stuff is in there. It's very similar to the CBS service,
Yeah,
CBS
CBS
All
All
Access,
Access.
which it's the same company, CBS NBC. They're connected.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's Peacock is kind of a quicker access than CBS All Access, and
Mm.
CBS All Access has kind of that full subscription type of deal. Um, but this is crazy to see 10 million, signups. Like I didn't expect that many people to be interested in Peacock, but
Yeah.
uh,
I mean, honestly, after hearing this, I'm kind of interested, right? Because if it's free with ads, like, first of all, I can just watch TV. Like, that's, like
yeah,
I pay cable to do the exact same thing, or like theoretically, I pay cable.
yeah,
I don't really watch cable TV, but like, so like my Hulu subscription, right? Like one of the main things I do on Hulu is watch Saturday Night Live.
right,
I pay $5 for that. This is free.
yeah.
Like, why would I not just watch Saturday Night Live here, and then maybe like drop the Hulu subscription, right?
It's true. I mean, Hulu's got a little bit more like exclusive series and stuff, and they do get stuff like the next day or like the day it comes out.
Yeah,
So
but I
that's kind of
mean,
nice.
you would assume these people are too.
You would, yeah, you would think. I'm not totally up to date on Peacock's rollout and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, but I agree. I mean, like, especially for SNL, like we used to watch SNL all the time. So
Mm-hmm. It's
I
good
don't know.
stuff.
I'm interested to see where Peacock goes and if they do any kind of. I'm pretty sure they do have um, exclusive shows and movies that they
Mm-hmm.
put out, just like through their own, you know, company. But
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what else they put out and what's going to be their biggest attraction, I guess, into the service.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to try to win people over with like exclusive, like only get it on our service content, or if they're just going to be offering television content and like the Universal Studios backlog
Right.
for a relatively free, right? Because
Yeah.
even like just having free content off the bat, already a game changer in streaming services. Like no other streaming service really does that.
Yeah.
Even with ads, like Hulu is like $5 and you're still watching ads. I mean, granted, you can get there's like a Peacock Premium which gets you access to more content, which also still runs ads.
Right.
But like just having even like a baseline of certain content that is free with
It's a smart
ads,
idea for
yeah,
sure.
it's a genius way to just get people to make an account and just sign up, just like sit there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I agree. It's very interesting to see where it goes. Hopefully, my biggest hope with it is that its pricing model will drive down some of the prices or like move competition around.
Yeah.
Because I really Netflix is too expensive. I mean, it's
Netflix
not,
is like
but
the only reason Netflix gets the love that it gets, I think, is because it's sort of like grandfathered in as like that first streaming service,
yeah,
and we've all trusted it since the beginning. So it's like I'm not gonna drop my Netflix subscription because there's also just enough stuff on Netflix that's gonna keep me in.
yeah, that's true. It has
I
lost
don't,
some
like
bangers over the years, though.
it has, but realistically, like Netflix or Hulu, what are you gonna drop first?
Oh, Hulu's going out the fucking window.
Exactly. So it just Netflix just has that one up. Not to mention the stuff they keep announcing that's coming out. Like it, they're just on the ball right now
That's true.
as far as streaming. Like they are leading the charge, whether people like it or not.
Yeah. All
So
right. Well, we will continue to watch the streaming game as always, and we'll see what happens in that arena. But moving out of the streaming realm and into the comic book movie realm for our last two news stories.
yes.
So this one's just kind of a quick, fun one. Uh, this is in The Dark Knight, or The Dark Knight Rises. Dave Bautista apparently tried his best to play Bane. So
So
Dave Bautista's done this a couple of times. He's been campaigning to play Marcus Phoenix in Gears, like a Gears of War movie, forever, but it hasn't happened yet. But he has also apparently been campaigning for Bane. And do you want to talk about it a little bit, Bill?
yeah, from what I understand, he was also trying to get the role in the new Batman coming out, the Matt Reeves one,
Yeah.
with Robert Pattinson and stuff, which he failed again. um, I don't know. I feel like this is a missed opportunity for them
Mm.
because Batista's good. Like he's not a bad actor. Like,
No, he's not.
and he definitely fits the role. Like he's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even in like, I think over the years he's gotten bigger roles and he's been able to talk more
Mm-hmm.
and have more of like an actual. He's not just like the big brute, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, that's what Bane sort of is, like on a base level.
Yep.
But he's not a bad actor. He's pretty solid. Like, and I do respect his uh personal campaigning kind of mentality because he does it all the time.
Yeah.
It's not even this or um anything. Like even when James Gunn was going through the whole thing with Guardians, and they took him off, then they took him back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dave Bautista was the first person to come out and say, "I'm not doing it if James Gunn's not."
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of this guy who like leads the charge, and he's not afraid to step up and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a part of this.
Mm-hmm. I
You know,
assume it's the WWE money that allows him to just take what he wants. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely set,
Yeah.
no problem. But I definitely respect his, you know, outgoingness to kind of throw his name out there and say, yeah, he has this confidence. He has the confidence to say, this is what I'm doing, and I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Has
but
Bane
I
even been confirmed for the Robert Pattinson film?
I don't think he is. He's not in it.
Mm.
But from what I understand, when they were writing the script, because as we know, that script has been through like the ringer.
Yeah.
Affleck wrote it, however many drafts. They scrapped his version, then they brought in Reeves. I'm sure Matt Reeves has multiple drafts.
Uh-huh.
So, and from what I understand, they've gone through like the whole Rose Gallery. At one point, they were going to do everyone. Everyone was just going to be in it.
Ooh, Sinister Six.
Yeah, basically. I mean, like right now, they have Catwoman, Penguin, and Riddler are all in it.
Yeah, they're all
So,
confirmed.
and from what I understand, it's gonna be similar to like the Long Halloween type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
which has like a ton of his rogues gallery in there. So, do I think that Bane was in there at some point? Probably,
Mm-hmm.
but knowing Warner Brothers and DC, they probably said, "Well, we did Bane almost 10 years ago now. It's too soon. Let's let's get some fresh faces in there and some fresh rogues." So I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm
Um,
gonna I'm moving over to Google real quick to look at Bane images.
yeah,
So before we move on to like just the next topic or the final topic before the Into the Badlands review, if Bane did come back in any form in anything, would
sure.
you want it to be a more realistic looking Bane like Tom Hardy's Bane in the Batman like the Dark Knight Rises Nolan stuff, or would you like to see like the huge like Injustice style Bane with like
He's
he's
got
got
like
like
the
the
tubes
green
and the
goo.
injections and stuff.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a version of both.
Mm.
Because first of all, the Dark Knight, like Tom Hardy's Bane, like
Mm-hmm.
I think I think the Dark Knight Rises as a whole is really underrated, and I think it gets that rep because it came after the Dark Knight, which is just like it's like a milestone for the genre.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you.
Um, it's super hard to follow up. Not to mention that that whole script had to go through problems because they lost Heath Ledger.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but Tom Hardy's Bane was great, and I loved the realistic take on it. I love that they really gave him like a character other than just like this big meathead,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what Bane is
Yeah,
in
he's
the
a
book. It's
luchador,
like
big boy.
he is, but he's also like this. He's a smart mercenary. Like he has a plan. He's not just like this big brute who's gonna come and fuck you up. Like
Yeah.
he's smart and he's like this tactical kind of guy. So I would love to see a mix of both because I realistically like I like the realistic look like Tom Hardy,
Mm-hmm.
but it'd be awesome to have like this like superhero element of like he's beefed up and like
Yeah,
he
I
could
think
really
like the glowing tubes and like all of like the injection serum and stuff, like in the Big Bane. I think
yeah,
that would fit almost more. It feels more like an MCU pull at this point.
definitely. But it'd be a great look.
Oh, it'd be
It
so
looks so
sick.
cool. Yeah. So I'd like to see a version of both if they ever bring it back.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to our final story, which is also a comic book movie story, which I am personally very excited about. So this is a rumor, super rumor. Take it all with a grain of salt when we talk about it, but it's fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And that is, according to according to the rumors from quote unquote reliable sources, um, could just be anybody. They're saying that Captain Marvel 2 is going to be a secret invasion adaptation, and it's going to introduce Miss Marvel to the MCU.
Right.
So, Billy, do you want to explain Secret Invasion to the best of your
Secret
ability?
Invasion or Secret Wars. Well, it's Secret Invasion. That's
Yeah.
really what they want to do. If you guys have seen Captain Marvel, you know about the Skrulls, the guys who transform and morph or clone other people. Um, basically, um, Secret Invasion is a storyline where we find out one of the Avengers or like the main Marvel characters has been a Skrull for like years, decades, and the Skrulls have just been secretly coming in and cloning other, Marvel heroes or characters, and they invade Earth, and it becomes this huge war between the Skrulls and the Avengers and stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's an interesting storyline. It's very popular in the past like 10, 15 years of Marvel. It's one of their more streamlined stories. Um, I'm kind of on the fence about it. Not gonna lie.
Really?
Uh,
Do you think that just couldn't be done correctly, or?
no, I just don't know how interested I am in it.
Hmm.
Uh, I kind of like the idea of a main face to a villain, like Thanos.
Sure.
Like he's like the main guy, like he's the main villain that we're looking at. And with the scrolls, it seems like I don't know how I like the idea of like the sneaky like it would be crazy. Don't get me wrong.
Mm.
It's gonna be awesome. It would be so cool to see like all of a sudden you find out Cap was a scroll the whole time
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. It'd be insane. But it would come out of nowhere, and I would be very interested to see who the scroll is, because in the first Captain Marvel, the scrolls seemed to be good guys.
Yeah. So actually, going off of that, somebody asked Kevin Feige about, because originally in the comic books, the Skrulls are normally bad guys, and
Right.
it leads to Secret Wars. And so the question to Kevin Feige was, with this new take on the Skrull, like, what are you going to do for Secret Wars? And his answer is like, they're like people. They're good Skrulls and bad Skrulls.
Right.
So that kind of makes you a racist for assuming they're all good Skrulls, Billy.
I just it's interesting. I mean,
No, you're all good.
they gave him the Marvel quirkiness, like,
Yeah, it's very weird, especially with like Ben Mendelsohn. Like they just feel like all slightly like Australian or like New
dude, the
Zealand.
whole scroll sipping the soda thing,
Yeah,
like
just chilling.
that was. I mean,
Especially
like,
the end scene from, oh god, it's Spider-Man Far From Home, right? Where it's like Fury turns out to
oh yeah,
be a scroll, and he's like,
Fury is
I
a
I
scroll.
thought it was fine.
See, that's the thing. That's what
It's
like
like little
Secret Wars
jokes.
is. Like, you find out Fury is a scroll the whole time, and then
Yeah.
like that explains like his vast knowledge of shit that like you shouldn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, they did it, and it was like a joke.
Yeah.
So it's like, how serious is this gonna be?
Yeah. I
Because if
think.
the scrolls are these goofy, like cartoonish, like funny guys, like I don't see them as a crazy threat.
Yeah. I
They have to
think.
introduce a new scroll villain who's like crazy and like do something like that.
Yeah. So for one, I think that a lot of the villains in the MCU, like that's been a main complaint of a lot of people, that they're just not good or they're forgettable.
Some of them are for sure.
So I think introducing a character where it's like you know exactly who it is, and they would maintain their normal like MCU appearance. Like if they were like Spider-Man, they would be Tom Holland for a majority of the movie.
Right.
And I think you're more just playing the actual actors that people care about against themselves, and I think that's more of the interesting part of it
Yeah,
than
for
having them
sure.
be a scroll. But also, I think the way that you do this film is that you slowly build to it over time. Like you don't just start the movie everyone's in a room and then one person's like, I'm a scroll. I think, at the end of Black Widow or like the end of Eternals, like there's an
Yeah.
after credit scene, Black Widow's a scroll, or like, Florence Pugh is a scroll. Or
Yeah.
like
I
you
mean,
just show
it's
it there and you tease it. Like you're like, someone's a fucking scroll. So then when you get to that movie, at least like two people. It's like Secret Hitler, the game. Like, two of them are fascists and you just gotta weed the rest of them out.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to be over the course of a new phase.
Yeah.
A new phase or two. Like this, whatever they do next is going to be the next big thing. This is the next Thanos.
I
The
mean, I
next
don't.
overarching villain, I
This isn't
guess.
like an Avengers film, right? So it doesn't even have to be the overarching thing.
No, but if this is what's going to introduce the idea of secret invasion and like the scrolls are slowly taking over, that is going to introduce a new overarching set of circumstances that they're going to have to deal with.
Hmm.
I mean, people have been speculating like, what's the next thing going to be? Are they going to fight Galactus next? Are they going to, is Dormammu going to come back and like be a big threat? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting, and also this is kind of changing the topic a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
the whole Miss Marvel aspect, adding her into Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
Kamala Khan.
I mean, very cool. The Avengers game is pushing her as a
Mm-hmm.
character. It's she is a cool character. She's basically Mr. Fantastic, but she's just a teenage girl. She's basically like a new version of Spider-Man in a
Also
way.
true, yeah.
But she just has a different set of powers. But I think it could be confusing for some people to have Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel in the same movie.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're gonna play up some kind of thing where like she gets her name from Captain Marvel because she's working with Captain Marvel, if it's true.
Yeah, she like
Um,
gives the title down.
yeah, something like that, or something along those lines.
Mm.
Um, but it's interesting that they're adding. If they, we've seen rumors that
You there, Bill?
or like a supporting character.
Yeah,
They
can
want
you
to
say that
add
last part
another
again?
hero.
Sorry, you cut out.
They so in Captain Marvel 2, they've had this rumor
Oh yeah.
for a long time that they want to add another hero in. Like they were talking about Spider-Man
Mm-hmm.
being in for a long time. That was a rumor, and now they're saying Miss Marvel will be the added hero.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's I don't know how good of an idea it is to put another hero into Captain Marvel's movie because I
Sure.
feel like the audience is so split on her as a hero, as a character as it is. To add someone else into the movie, it could detract from people her likability. I don't know. I
Well, I
don't.
mean, if they do a secret invasion at all, like it won't just be like, yeah, like Miss Marvel would be the newest character, but you would assume that everyone would be there.
Right.
Like Black Panther would be there.
Oh,
Uh,
you think it's gonna be like the whole secret invasion is gonna be like almost like
yeah,
Civil War?
they're suggesting that the rumors suggest it's a mini Avengers film, so like Civil
Oh,
War.
that's even more interesting.
Yeah, so like you would
Okay,
see
so
Nick Fury, you would see,
okay.
mhm.
See, I was under the impression it was gonna start this new arc of like
Oh no, 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 no,
slowly
no, yeah,
rolling out the invasion.
they're trying to do Secret Wars in 2.5 hours.
They're going for. Oh, that's a lot.
Yep.
uh, I like it. I actually like that a little bit more, to be honest with you.
Mm.
But it would it's going to be interesting for sure. I know that I know that they want Captain Marvel to be the next leader of the Avengers.
Mm.
They want her to be the new like Iron Man or Cap, which is cool. I actually would love to see that.
Yep.
Um, but it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I
Ooh,
also know that one of I forget where the interview is, but the Russo brothers were asked what would they do, like what would the MCU have to do to make them come back,
yeah,
and they said that it would have to be like Secret Wars. That would be the one thing that they would come back to do. So
yeah,
if you think, like, do you think if they got the Russo brothers to come back and direct like a Secret Wars, like, would that get you even more hype?
yes, because I know that they can do it.
Yeah.
And I think that they uh, did well with Captain Marvel. I liked her more in Endgame than I did in her own movie. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Which Endgame was even shot first, which is kind of whack.
It was, and it is kind of whack, but they did it well. Like
Yeah, very well.
I like the costume more. I like the haircut. They gave her like the classic cut that she gets. Some people didn't like that. So
I think it's
I
okay.
I think it's cool. Like uh, people are so stuck on like the SJW thing about Captain Marvel,
Hmm.
which isn't even that prevalent. It's just like it's. I feel like it's like a made up thing that people have this stigma against her. But I don't know.
It's
I
definitely just a
get
vocal minority.
it is, but I think this is good, but it could also backfire on them because giving Captain Marvel a big sequel like this to be this pseudo Avengers type of movie,
Uh huh.
it would be great for her. She needs it. Just kind of the way Cap didn't need it, but when he got it, it boosted him. You know,
Yeah.
I think it will give her that boost of like being this cool character that everyone's involved in, and
Yeah,
I
can help
think
push her into the actual role she needs to play as the captain.
yes, yes, exactly.
Gotcha, gotcha.
But it could also backfire. You never know. I feel like she's very on the rocks for some of the fans, or at least the
Yeah.
vocal minority.
I really do
But
think it is a vocal minority just because the first Captain Marvel grossed over $1 billion.
it did, and it wasn't I did not like it. I felt like it was an average Marvel film, but it wasn't bad. Like, and I like Brie Larson as the character. I think she kills it.
Yeah, she good.
She honestly, I'm waiting for her to have this conflict with the other heroes because she's so like hard headed, and I love that about her character.
Mm.
She's just fucking she's strong, and like she doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, I'm
Like in
kind of
Endgame when she
hoping.
stood up in Thor's face and she was just like, yeah, like this is what I'm doing. What are you gonna do about it? Like,
Yeah, I want
yeah,
to see more
yeah,
of her and Chris Hemsworth, but I'm afraid that Chris Hemsworth is out the door in Thor 4.
maybe.
So we'll see what happens.
I think Hemsworth is gonna stay.
Well, I mean, the rumor is he gets replaced by Natalie Portman, Jane
Right.
Foster.
The rumor is also he doesn't like that.
Yeah, but
The
like,
rumor is also he wants to stick around.
I don't
So I
think
don't
they
know.
care.
I don't think they care either.
Like,
But
I don't know. I hate to say that Natalie Portman is like potentially a bigger actor, but she might be.
uh not in the sense of Marvel.
Not in the sense of Marvel, but in the sense of like this is an actor.
Sure. But I think in the Marvel world, I guess, with the fans, I think Natalie Portman has left a bad taste in a lot of the fans' mouth.
Really,
Not
you
to
don't think people like Jane Foster?
No, because Natalie Portman she ducked out. She was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, but like,
I don't believe in this universe, and then she ducked out. And
how many
then
people that watch the movies are like aware of the fact that she ducked out and like didn't want to come back for Infinity War or like blah blah blah?
I'd say at least 30%.
Okay, I
30
think
to
that's
40%.
generous.
I think it's 30 to 40% people understand what Natalie Portman was doing.
Hmm.
She was there. She was like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. This isn't going to be anything. And then it really popped off, and she snuck right back in to get it. And that's not to talk down on Natalie Portman. She's a great actress. And I do actually want to see her become the female Thor. I'm very interested to see that actually.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think there is a bad stigma with her when it comes to the fans to a certain aspect. It's a low percent. Like I don't think it's 40. It's definitely like 25 to 30% of people know that she had this kind of I don't know. I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying.
It'll
It's
be interesting. The future of the MCU is going to be very interesting because realistically, we don't even know what it is. Like
nah,
if
they're
this
just chilling
this
right
is
now.
all rumors. So it could be if it is this, I'm interested to see where it goes, especially with Eternals too. I don't know what they're going to do with Eternals. None of us do.
Yeah, I need a
So
trailer for that.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, while we wait for the trailer, we do have a discussion topic and perhaps a show that you can watch. Let's talk about the pilot of Into the Badlands. Now, if
Yes,
you did not watch the pilot, don't worry. You can go on Netflix and watch it right now. I think it's only streaming on Netflix. You have to buy it if you want to watch it somewhere else.
just watch it on
But
Netflix.
yeah, watch it. Everyone has Netflix, like we talked about earlier.
Right.
And then come back. We'll talk about it. It's a great show in short, but we'll expand upon it.
Yes.
So, Billy, why don't you start us off with just some general reactions to Into the Badlands as a whole, and then maybe start talking about the pilot a little?
Sure. Um, what a great show. Just to
Amazing
kick it off.
show.
What a great show. I mean, I rewatched the pilot last night, just to have it fresh in my mind for today. And I have to say, like, as the story of the show progresses, it's only 3 seasons, but as the story progresses, it gets more complex. More
Mm-hmm.
things happen. More things come to the forefront that you may or may not have expected. But going back to the pilot after finishing this show, it was really refreshing. I really loved the simplicity of it all. You know,
Mm-hmm.
after seeing where it goes and what it becomes, going back to the beginning to see where it all started was really great. And that's not to say that the show depreciates at all, but the beginning seeds of the show are so strong. It just reflects how great the show is. I feel like
Yeah,
I don't
it
know.
teases a lot of stuff that still has meaning in like the last episodes of the show.
Yeah, and it's just great to see where it came from, the origins of it all, and I really love the opening conflict of the story and Quinn, the Baron, such a great villain. Like he's so good. Like
Oh, it's beautiful.
just revisiting, his beginnings. It's just it's awesome. It's
Great
awesome.
actor, great vibe that they like decide for that character.
Yeah, I love it. I love the aesthetic of it.
Yeah. I think that honestly, watching the first episode made me want to watch the show again. Like that's how good.
It did. It really did. Like I want to rewatch the first season too.
Yeah.
Like
Like it sets the vibe. Like you know what's gonna happen. It feels good. You're like, oh, it's gonna get better.
yeah,
So like
exactly.
for me, just a couple of the standouts. One, I love the costume design. I think
Yeah,
that like I have a picture of Sunny up right now in his Clipper outfit. Like the red
yeah,
leather is sick. Like the fact that you can look at somebody and like instantly tell where they're from. So like
yeah,
Sunny works for the Red Baron. Like he's clearly marked. He's like wearing all red. He's got like a long flowing kind of cape vibe to him. But when
yeah,
you see say someone who works for the Widow, they're all wearing like dark blue. They got bowler hats. Like
yeah.
it, just makes sense.
Everyone's got their own aesthetic, and it all makes sense, and it's all like the factions all make sense. So it's like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I was just talking about it, like the set design. Like I love like the southern vibe and like the plantation and
yes.
just like the
I love,
post-apocalyptic thing is just like very slightly in there. Like every once in a while you see something that's like, oh, this is the apocalypse,
yeah.
but like it's just
I love that you could tell it's the apocalypse, but it's almost like we're past the apocalypse at this point. Like
yeah,
this is the
way
new
way
norm,
past. Yeah.
but like the remnants of the apocalypse is still there, and it's like it's great. And I agree. The plantation aesthetic to Quinn
Mm-hmm.
and the Red Baron, like so good,
Oh yeah.
so good. And not to mention the main job is just the poppy fields and the opium
Mm.
collection. Like that's like their main economy, I guess you could say.
Yeah, the Baron deals in opium.
Yeah, so it's cool. Everything about it's so cool. It's different, and
Yeah, the world's really fleshed out. It's all the factions. Like every baron has a regent who runs like the day to day stuff, and then every baron's in charge of like a specific part of industry. It's just
yep,
great.
yeah.
Uh,
And
Go for it.
continue.
I was just gonna
You
say
had
that like it just like the lore of the universe, right? Like you just get the hierarchy of society like
yeah,
instantly in the first episode. Like the Baron's in charge. He's like, he's taking multiple wives. He's telling his clippers like, if you work for me, just do whatever the fuck you want.
yeah,
And then underneath that is the regent, who's like his right hand man who runs the clippers. And then there's the cogs, which are just slaves, and like they are not wearing anything colorful. They're basically just wearing bags,
yeah,
and like you instantly understand where everyone's place in the power role is. Like when
yeah,
MK pops out of the trunk, you're like, that boy's at the bottom.
yeah. It's like the bottom of society right there.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to see. I mean, and I was also thinking while watching like I love there's so many layers and like issues and drama
Hmm.
built just within Quinn and his family, and
Yeah.
it was so good. Just like the amount of problems that come with being a Baron and come with just in his family, in his house, that he has to deal with,
Hmm.
and pending problems with the widow that he may or may not have. It's just a lot,
Oh my god,
and
it's so much.
it's just a lot for him to deal with. But you could tell, and you can keep up. And I also love that Quinn is like the perfect villain for this series.
Yeah, he's crazy.
He is out of every villain that we eventually see, he is the best. No one tops him, and he he just has this like you could tell he's like unstable and unhinged and a little crazy.
Yeah.
He's kind of losing it, but he's so smart at the same time. He's so smart and on top of it. And in the episode, he kind of has this quarrel with his son about like, do we move on the widow or not?
Hmm.
And he knows we're not moving on the widow. We can't do it. I'm not going to start this war. Like he knows. He knows he knows if he has to, he will die for it, but he
Yeah.
will not push for it.
He's the Baron for a reason.
Yeah, he's smart. He
Yeah.
like great character.
I
Just a great.
agree though. Like you just find out like in the first episode alone, like there's so many problems that he's facing. One,
Yeah.
he's addicted to opium, which is
Yeah.
probably a problem. Two, he has like massive headaches, which he uses the
Yeah.
opium to get rid of. He's cucking his wife, his original
Yeah.
wife. She probably wants to betray him. Like you kind of feel it. Like she still feels like she's in charge, but there's like a weird power dynamic.
Yeah.
He thinks that his son is a pussy.
Yeah,
uh,
he does not respect his son at all and does not believe he is a proper successor to
Yeah,
him.
and you can also feel that the son hates him. He just hates the Baron. Like
Yeah.
he's cucking his mom. He doesn't like that. Like he doesn't like being disrespected. So like there's instantly this animosity here. And like again, you're right, like with the war, like right, like he wants to go and like attack the widow, but like he's not. The Baron's not ready to do that. There's
Yeah.
this animosity building, and then on top of that, Sonny wants to leave, or he like has this idea of leaving the Badlands, which is like
Right.
something that comes throughout like the course of the episode, which we'll talk about the plot.
Right.
And on top of that, his second wife is fucking his son.
Yeah, dude. Dude, it's insane. I totally forgot that was even happening.
Hmm.
And then it popped up in the episode. I was like, "Oh my God, I forgot about this. This is crazy." Like
Yeah. So I think I just listed like 7 problems that he has.
it's insane. Like there's so many conflicts within the show,
It's a
but
powder keg.
they all balance out.
Yeah.
It all balances out. You never lose track of what's going on. Like it's really well balanced. Like so fun.
Okay.
So fun.
Yeah. So this show originally aired on AMC, and I genuinely think it is better than The Walking Dead. And I'm really
Oh,
sad
it's
that they
100% better than
prioritize The Walking Dead.
If they ended The Walking Dead within like 6 or 7 seasons, it'd have been fine. You could have capped that show off and been done. Uh, this show is up there with like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul.
Hmm.
I'm so upset that they ended this show.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though like the end of the show is it is different from the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
You know, where you were in a different place than when you started. But when you get to that place, it makes sense why we're in that place, and you're more than interested enough to see it move forward and see where it goes.
Yeah, I think that this show easily could have been 7 seasons. Like I feel like
Easily,
there's more to tell, there's more to do. It just
easily.
looks great. Oh,
I stay hoping that Netflix picks it up.
yeah, I agree. And
But I don't
also,
think they will.
the choreography in the first episode is pretty good. There's a couple of weird shots, but it
Yeah,
only gets better. Like literally
the
every single
choreography does not
episode,
miss. Like
never miss.
I agree. It does feel a little sloppy. The cinematography and the choreography might be a little sloppy at times, and quick cuts. Some movements may feel a little jerky, but it doesn't miss. It's still good. Like the first the first fight in the show to cap it off. What a great way to introduce Sonny.
Oh yeah,
I mean, Sonny pulls up. First of all, badass on his motorcycle.
Yeah, with the
confronting,
aviators.
yeah, with the aviators confronting these nomads, and not to mention, just leaves his sword right on the motorcycle. I'm not even gonna walk up to these guys with the sword.
Don't even need it.
Don't even need it. And oh, he just yeah, what a great introduction to say this is our main character. He's badass, and it just reflects how he is the best clipper in the Badlands.
Yeah. So going into it, do we just want to go through the plot and kind of just comment as we go?
Sure,
All
yeah,
right. So first thing that happens is what you were saying. So Sonny goes looking for some like runaway cogs, right? Or some
yeah, because
stolen
he
cogs.
finds this wreck on the side of the road,
Yeah.
so he's kind of investigating on what caused this.
So like first, like literally first body he flips over, dead kid, got his throat slit open.
Yeah,
Sets the tone some more. Like just hit
dark.
it, kids die. I don't give a fuck. Like
Yeah,
killing people. So then he tracks down obviously what you're saying, like the 20 guys, like the 20 refugees, or like they don't have any like Baron allegiance. They're like bandits.
I think they're called nomads.
No, they are nomads. Thank you.
So they're not affiliated with any barons. They're kind of just living off the Badlands by themselves, which is a dangerous profession.
Hmm.
Which you will learn later on in the show if you continue to watch. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And then he's looking for the runaway. They say we don't deal in human whatever, but they are human trafficking.
yeah,
He kills like 20 people with
bare
his,
hands.
yeah. Like he just takes them all to town. Literally at the end of this, like at the end of this, like 6 minute, like this is the opening 6 minutes. Like at the end of this fight, I am sold on the show.
Easily.
I'm there. I'm already there.
They and in the show, I believe we talked about this last week, but it is very in the aesthetic of like all these aesthetics that we've already talked about the show.
Hmm.
It is like completely mixed with old style kung fu
Yeah, it
movies.
feels like a kung fu western fusion thing.
It's so cool. Like they really commit to like sort of the fight choreography is like that campy kung fu ness, but it's in a badass way. Like it's not goofy. When you see it, it's not like
No, I would
oh
never say that any of the kung fu films are goofy, except for maybe like Kung Fu Hustle.
sure, but like
But yeah, it's got like
when
the
Sonny
classic fight.
when Sonny kicks someone or punches someone, he might send him like 6 feet back.
Yeah,
Like
like it's very accentuated.
he could if he jumps in the air, he might fly 20 feet and land somewhere. But
Yeah.
it all like as soon as you see it happening, you're like, oh okay, this is what we're doing. Okay,
Hmm.
cool. I'm in
Yeah.
with this.
Later in the episode, he does like a triple flip over a car. But like, it's fucking
Yeah, like,
sick.
but it's badass. It's sick. Like at no point, like maybe in the first fight, it might take you out for like a second. Be like, okay, this is the style of fighting we're doing in this show. Cool. The rest of the show, you're in. Like no questions asked. It's badass. Like
Yeah, no question. Feels
oh yeah,
like Ip Man, if you ever seen that. Like that, those are great films with Donnie Yen.
yep,
Like it's got that kung fu feel, but it also like it does have like a western. Like I don't know what it is. Like maybe it's just like the stoic, the action hero, and he's got like his two pistols, but he's got two swords. And
sure,
like he wears the duster, and he's got like the long coat. He's
yeah.
like, make my day. Like it
It's a
just,
great. It is a great mix.
yeah. Like it's just, oh, it's good. And then
Yeah,
the universe lore. Oh, we're gonna keep going.
yeah, yeah.
So Sonny kills all of them, opens the chest, finds a kid. His name is MK. The two letters. I don't really get how that's a name, but I'm sure it's a name. So they
It,
they pick him up. Sonny brings him back to
the
the
crime scene, I guess.
yeah. He brings him back to the crime scene, helps him bury the bodies, and then he brings him to the fort, which the fort is where the Red Baron lives. I forget what his actual title is. I want to say the Bloody Baron, but I think that's from The Witcher.
Yeah, I'm not sure like what his Baron title is. I just know his name is Quinn.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's what everyone really calls him.
The
Other than that,
Opium Baron.
the Red Baron. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So anyway, they go there, and he brings him to the cult training ground, which is where all of like the male kids get a chance to become Clippers.
yeah,
And basically, Clippers are the agents of the Baron who like work and just kill for him. Like that's just what
yeah,
they do.
yeah. So it's really just this like training camp, like cutthroat kind of place where these kids are like just bloodthirsty, looking to impress the Clippers or the Baron just to rise in the ranks and become a Clipper. That's
Yeah.
really what their main goal is. Because if you're not a Clipper, then you're going to be working in the poppy fields the rest of your life.
Yeah, then you're a cog and you're basically a slave.
Yeah. So,
Um, yeah. So one of the cool things about this is so immediately after that, the Baron shows up and he rounds up all the cults and he like gives like the inspirational marketing speech like join my
yeah,
cause.
exactly.
It sets the tone for the Baron so well. Like he comes in, like gives his respect to his men that are already Clippers. All the kids are sitting there. Some of them are like 5 years old. Like these are like kids.
Yeah.
And he holds up the Bible and he's just like, this book used to mean, this book, like people thought that it meant something, that the writer God would save them. And then he's just like, God ain't here in the Badlands, I am. Like it's
Yeah.
so
Dude,
badass, bro.
it's sick, dude. And he's got the like that southern twang, that like
Oh, he's
plantation
so
vibe. Like
southern, it's great.
it, it's awesome. Like he sells it. Like and like my only gripe with this episode at all
Hmm.
is like, the Baron is very straightforward about what's going on here.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna work for me and you're gonna kill for me in my interests. And he really uses Sonny as like his main example.
Yeah.
He makes Sonny take his vest off, and Sonny shows like his back is full of tattoos, like these tally marks, and
Hmm.
each tally mark represents a death that he's taken for the Baron.
Over 400.
Yeah, over and like Sonny has the most tattoos, or like the most marks, most kills out of any Clipper.
Hmm.
So he's like the top Clipper. He is like the right hand man to the Baron. Um, and it's crazy to see the dichotomy of the scene, because the Baron's given this intense speech, great,
Hmm.
great speech, and you could see Sonny's just sitting there, just like Sonny does not want to be there.
Yeah. He's
You
simping.
can
He's
tell
taking it.
throughout the you can tell throughout the entire episode that Sonny doesn't want to be here, but he is, because that's what it just is what it is.
Hmm.
He has to be here, so he will be, but he does not want to. And he does feel sympathy for not only the kids, but you could tell for MK, because he really picked up MK in the episode.
Yeah. Dragged him back.
Yeah. So my one gripe with the episode, I guess, is that the Baron does give this intense speech, and he's talking about killing for him and death, and it's like, are you ready to kill for the Baron?
Yes,
Stuff like
Baron.
that. Yeah, and like the kids are hyped at the end, like they're ready. They're like, yes, death! Like
They're ready
that
to
was my
kill
one
and
gripe. I was
fuck,
like, these
bro.
kids are ready to murder. Oh my
Kids
god!
want
Like,
money. They want women.
yeah,
They
that's
want
basically what he was
death.
saying. He's like, you're gonna live basically free, and you get all the women you want. That's really what he was offering.
And then the 10-year-old kids were like, this is sick.
Yeah. That was, I guess, my only gripe was like the kids are sold so easily. But then if you really think about it, like the world that we're in, like
Oh, it's
what
fucked.
else do they have? Like that's all you really need to tell these kids.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, the
you
other
get
answer is literally working as a slave in an opium field. So it's like,
yeah, it's like your options are very limited. So
yeah.
if that means we're gonna kill people, then that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Get
don't
to
know.
learn some cool flippy kung fu too.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to do that.
So continuing through the story. So after that, like MK and the rest of the cults go back into the yard, and like, MK's wearing like a necklace, and the symbol on it is a city, and some kid like rips it off him. Yeah, and he's like, the kid's like, this is mine now because it's the Badlands. You just take what you want. So MK beats just slams him in the face and starts beating on him, wailing on him. And then right before MK is about to like get totally actually beaten up by this kid, because the kid flips MK over, Sonny comes over and like breaks up the fight, and then he's like, give me that, like, what are you guys fighting over? And when Sonny sees it, like, you instantly see in his eyes, like, he knows what that is.
Yeah.
And like, he's very surprised that this kid would have it.
Yeah, he was very shocked
Yeah.
because yeah,
So he takes it, he hides, like, he puts it away. Ryder, the Baron's son, sees that, thinks it's sus that he took it. That'll
yeah,
come back later. Um, so going through this a little bit. So then Sonny goes back to his apartment, or his cabin, and he pulls out a compass that has the same golden city on it. And that's when you realize that like there's some kind of connection. Like, he has this compass, this kid has this like medallion, Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing? And that's when Ryder, the Baron's son, comes in, and he's like, "Hey, give me that." And he just takes the medallion. He's like, "Do you know what this is?" Sonny lies, and then he's like, "All right, I'm taking this."
He basically just confiscates it. But there's also
Yeah.
this conversation that they have um, in the cabin with Sonny, because at the training camp, um, the Baron and Sonny find out that the widow hired the nomads to capture MK and bring him to her. So before Sonny even gets the medallion, they're
Oh,
thinking, why
that's
does the
true.
widow want this kid?
You're right. The
Yeah.
Baron, the layers,
So
Billy, the layers.
yeah, so there's this kind of mystery of like, what's the widow doing looking for this kid? Um, but Sonny finds the medallion, he takes it.
Mm-hmm.
Ryder, Sonny, and the Baron had this conversation at the camp, saying, you know, Ryder wants to attack the widow, move on her because these guys attacked Sonny, and she's doing some shady stuff. And the Baron is like, no, we're not going to do that
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not going to start this Baron war. Like that's just not a good idea. So there's already this conflict between the son wants to do something and the Baron does not. They do not agree and they do not align.
Mm-hmm.
So when Ryder comes and meets Sonny later at his cabin and takes this medallion, he says, "Listen, you need to reevaluate your position on the widow because this is something we need to do."
Yeah, there's like already seeds of like underground betrayal and like inner
Yeah,
turmoil. And,
exactly. And Sonny's like, "Listen, the Baron made his decision, and I'm going to move with the Baron." And Ryder immediately cuts him off. He's just like, "Listen, you made the decision. The Baron did not. So he's going to listen to you before he listens to anyone else because you're the top clipper." So
yeah,
there's already, again, like this idea of like betrayal, underground politics happening about what we're going to do, what we're not going to do, you know.
yeah. So here's a quick question for you, and this might go into like later episode territory. But so like when Ryder says that, Ryder's like, "Listen, man, you're the one calling the shots. Like my dad, like he's got a headache, he's on drugs, like
Yeah,
he's just on autopilot, and you can just steer him."
right.
Do you think that he's correct, or do you think that he's completely misreading it? Because like when I think of that like conversation in hindsight, I feel like Ryder does not understand where the fuck he is or what's actually going on.
Yeah, I think Ryder, I think he's onto something to an extent,
Yeah.
but I don't think that it's as easy as he thinks it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, do I think that Sonny could influence the Baron?
Probably.
Yes,
Yeah.
probably, and he really realistically is. Like he's like Ryder's not wrong about that. However, like I said earlier, the Baron's smart. Like, is he losing it? Yes, but he's still on top of what he wants to do. Like he's still making decisions effectively.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Baron, looking back on it, I think the Baron would catch on if Sonny was realistically pushing something on him to say we should be doing this.
Yeah.
And if he didn't agree with that, I think that he would make the decision to not.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think like you
and
can even tell.
I think it does reflect the. It does kind of prove what the Baron thinks of Ryder. It's like you're not ready for this.
Yeah, that he's
You are
just
not ready to be the Baron,
he doesn't understand what's going on.
right? Like he doesn't understand the severity of going to war with another Baron,
Mm-hmm.
putting those lives on the line. And while Quinn is, he's prepared to die for it, but he's not going to die for it by choice. He's going to do it if he has to.
Mm-hmm.
So it is an interesting dynamic because you know Ryder believes he is in line for the Baron, but realistically he's not ready. He
Yeah.
isn't. So it is a very cool dichotomy to see. Like it's good. I enjoy that a lot because it proves that Quinn is still right.
Mm-hmm.
Quinn still has like he is losing it and he is going crazy and he may be sick, but he still knows what he's doing. He is
Yeah.
still the Baron. So
All right. So we're gonna skip around a little bit just because we're starting to, or fast forward rather, just because we're running kind of low on time.
sure.
So the main next thing that happens is Sonny travels into town to visit his doctor girlfriend.
Right.
And when he's there, he finds out that he is having a kid with her.
Right.
She's
She's pregnant.
pregnant. He can't have kids. It's part of like the regent like Clipper rules. You just can't have children.
Right. It's part of the code.
Yeah, and also like because of this, he's very scared for the child. He's scared for his girlfriend. He decides, or like he doesn't decide, but he thinks that maybe it's time to leave the Badlands.
Right.
And
This
now,
idea is planted in his head of like it's time to start planning on how to get out of here.
yeah, which is even more scary than like you would think, because outside of the Badlands, theoretically, like to the people inside the Badlands, which it is like an actual area, right? They
Yeah.
genuinely think nothing exists. Like there is
Yeah.
nothing. Like it is
Yeah.
Mad Max on the outside, and it's Mad Max with grass on the inside.
Right. Yeah.
So
It's like this idea of like there's no rules outside the Badlands. There's nothing. Like there, you will die out there.
yeah, there's no civilization.
But at least within the Badlands, there is some sort of order. There is some kind of lifestyle that you could choose from, to an extent.
Yeah.
So
Well, the
it's a
rumors that they have in like is like literally there is nothing. Like there
right.
may be bands of nomads, but there are no cities. There's no food. There's no
Yeah, you were very much on your own with
yeah,
nothing.
which is
So
crazy.
it is, and it's a cool aesthetic to throw in the background of like the stress of this environment to be in.
Yeah,
Like
there's no escape.
there is no good option for you in
Yeah.
this world.
So
So
yeah, so he decides that like maybe it's time to leave. Then we go back to MK, who's like, it's like the middle of the night. He's in the bathrooms, and the dude that he fought that stole his necklace comes in, and like basically demands retribution. He's like, I'm gonna kill you right here, right now.
yeah, it's like you
So
embarrassed me in front of the Clippers, so I'm gonna murder you right now.
yeah, so they start fighting, and then MK gets cut, and then he like looks at the blood on his hand, and then his eyes go black, right? Like they just go full, like you see, like it's like mystical, right?
Looks like a demon, kind of.
Yeah, and then he just beats the living shit out of that kid,
Dude, it's crazy. Like he kicks him up against the wall,
shatters
and
the
it's like a mirror.
mirror. Yeah,
He catches the glass in his hand before it flies past him, and fucking shurikens his eye, dude. It's insane. Like
yeah, and then you
he
cut
does
back to
some
Sunny, and
crazy
Sunny
like
looks like,
Matrix
huh?
level shit. Yeah, and like Sonny walks in as this is happening, and he's
Yeah,
like, huh? Like,
yeah. You're right though. It is very much like the Matrix.
yeah, but it's crazy. It's like this crazy like superpower that he unlocks
Yeah,
off of like him bleeding. Um,
and then he faints.
but yeah, and then he faints. He goes black. He wakes up. He's locked in this in the dungeon, I guess. And
No,
Sonny
no,
comes.
he's in Sunny's cabin when he wakes up.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and then I'm pretty sure he tells him where the necklace is.
Yeah, he says it's Azra. It's like this. He's like, you believe the city of Azra is still out there, and it's like this mystery of like, what is Azra? What is this golden city that they're talking about? This hidden city, like
Mm-hmm.
it becomes this mystery um, that Sunny and MK are connected through
Mm-hmm.
this like crazy mystery that no one even knows about.
Yeah.
Um, so after, is it after that
So after
he?
that, he tries to break out. So like
Right, yeah. Sunny
MK,
tries to let him go.
yeah, MK breaks into the Baron's house to get his necklace back. Ryder catches him. Ryder sentences him to death, and then Sunny helps him escape.
Right,
Yeah.
but as he's being caught by Ryder, his Ryder's mom is there.
Yeah, Lydia.
She sees the necklace, the medallion,
Oh, she knows
and
too.
she's shook. She knows what it is,
Yeah.
and that's already a plant in your head. Like, oh, so she knows what this is, but no one else knows what this is. It's like, what is this thing?
Yeah. Yeah, they do
So
a lot of that. A lot of planting the seeds of what's going on? Why is he important? Why has he got mystical powers? What's the city of
right,
Azra?
right.
Yeah, so that's all crazy. And then so he escapes. MK runs like out into the Badlands. What else happens? Let's see.
Oh, Sonny goes and visits his girlfriend again,
Yeah.
and as he's about to enter her like house, and this is like a downtown. It's almost like a western like one-way road saloon type of town,
Yeah.
kind of. And it's pouring rain, literally just dumping like typhoon rain.
Yeah, too much rain.
And then this car pulls up, like this old 20s like car pulls up, and the bowler hat dudes come out with swords. There's like four of them, and these are like the widow's fucking clippers. They're her regents or whatever.
They're clippers, yeah.
Yeah. So and Sonny has to fight them while the widow is sitting in the car watching. Like it's a dope introduction to the widow. Like
Yeah, you can tell
what
she's a badass too, because there's so many times where Sunny stabs right through the car, and like the sword is so close to her, and she doesn't even give a fuck.
she doesn't even move. Yeah, she's just sitting there waiting. But basically, it's a crazy fight, great fight, best fight of the episode, without a doubt. It ends. The widow gets out of the car, and Sonny's like, "I should kill you where you stand. Like, you're insane." And she was like, "You know, you can't do that because I'm a baron." But secretly, she's also saying, "You couldn't beat me if you tried because I will fuck you up." Like,
Yeah,
the barons are notoriously like insane fighters. Like they're better than any of the Clippers.
yeah, they're barons for a reason. Like it comes up when he's talking, like the Red Baron's talking about Ryder. He's like, the baronship, like the barony is earned. Like you just can't inherit this. Like you're gonna have to
Yeah,
freaking come over here and take my head off. Like,
yeah, exactly.
because like if you're not strong, someone's gonna take it from you.
Right. So it's a crazy world. It's a crazy world to live in.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that the widow is the widow because her husband was the baron, but now she's the baron, but
Yeah,
you don't really know why she's the baron.
Yeah.
And people outside of
Well, they
the
talk
widow's
about it, don't they? In the first episode.
they say that her husband died, so that is her name is now the widow. She like goes by the widow, and there's like a rumor that she is the new baron of that territory, but no one really believes it.
Well, she's taken the baronship, but they won't respect it because.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't respect it because she's a woman, or because
I think it's because I'm straight up. I'm gonna say it. I think they very clearly spell out that she kills her husband.
Yeah.
And that it's not legitimate because she just killed him, and she's like, now I'm the baron, and he's like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, so that it's like this unspoken rule or whatever.
Yeah, which is bullshit because like also he kind of wants his son to kill him because that's how it works.
Yeah, it's like this. It is kind of in a gray area though. They get more into depth of it as the season goes on, and you know who she is and what she's capable of, I guess. But yeah, it's super cool, and her like the way that they keep her in this sort of gray area until she shows up, and then she shows up, and you're like, oh yeah, she's in charge. Like
yeah,
she's in charge whether she's fighting you or not. Like it's awesome. So
yeah, and honestly, that she comes out of the car and like they have that conversation, and then the conversation like amounts to, "Give me the kid. I know you have the kid."
Right.
And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And then it just kind of like she just leaves. But that's kind of where the show ends. I mean, then it just like it cuts to the Baron smoking his opium, and he's like, "Sonny, you should come live in the house."
Yeah, he wants Sonny to move closer to the house.
Yeah, that was a terrible Southern impression, by the way. But like, he just like he is like that. He's like, "I do declare." Like,
yeah, he is really like that. Like
violence.
It's very much like if you've seen Django Unchained. He's like DiCaprio.
Yeah, he is. He's like an older Mr. Candy or Monsieur Candy.
Yeah.
He's
But that pretty much wraps up the pilot episode. But
yeah, that is the end of the first episode.
What a great episode! Like we both said, like it makes me want to rewatch the show.
Yeah.
Like the beginning, the first 2 seasons are so good. Like, and season 3 is also good, but it's just a different. Other things are happening. But yeah, I mean, the show's awesome. If you guys haven't watched the pilot yet, or if you just came back from watching the pilot, hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You watch the rest of the show. Like it's 3 seasons. It's really good. I know not everyone's into cable television, I guess, but AMC really is like the top cable television when it comes to dishing out TV shows. They really do a great job. And I mean, Walking Dead kind of fell off, but I promise you everything else is so good. Like Into the Badlands, didn't miss.
No.
Breaking Bad, fantastic. Better Call Saul, can't stop winning Emmys for that show. I haven't even watched it, but I should be watching it because I like Breaking Bad. um, and they have other shows as well that are also great. But this show is so good, and it's so unique, and it's
Oh,
so
yeah.
different, and it really deserved more time. It really deserved to keep going.
That really is the selling point. Like it's just so unique, and like everything it does, from like the costume design to just like the lore of the universe and like the
The
fusion
story,
of like
the
kung
fight
fu and
choreography, the
yeah,
aesthetic, like everything about it is just so good and different. Like,
it's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that I mean, there's really nothing else what we could say about it without going into like the rest of the show. It's an
yeah.
amazing show. I highly recommend. Just go watch it. Come back. But yeah, that about wraps up our episode for today. If you like the episode, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, share it with your friends. That's how we grow. If you have any thoughts, like maybe you watch the episode, you want to, you have a better take or a different take, leave it in the comments. Or if you want to, comment on any of the news, like Secret Wars, like, do you want to see that happen? Do you think
Yeah.
Captain Marvel can handle Secret Wars? Like, put it in the comments. I'll respond to
Let
the
us
comments.
let us know what you think. And if you want to hear us talk more about the Badlands, then let us know that too. We'll talk about Badlands all day.
Yeah,
All right. Like, I mean, if you have any other recommendations for other TV shows, other pilots that you'd like us to watch or
even
review
a
or
movie.
talk about, or a movie,
Yeah.
please submit,
We have
comment.
a we have a small list of movies and TV episodes that we were thinking of reviewing. I don't know if
Yeah.
you saw it, but I added Sky High to the list this week, so we might do that
Oh
eventually.
shit, that'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
it was like a 15 like year anniversary or something, and I was like, okay, I like Sky High. But
Yeah, yeah,
next week we'll be coming at you guys with a discussion. We are not sure what it is yet, but it'll just be like a normal discussion topic. We're gonna probably be debating something.
yeah.
So yeah, I
Cool.
already said like, subscribe, favorite, do it again, tell your friends. For real, tell your friends. And
Yeah, please.
yeah, thank you for tuning in, and have a good one.